Okay, this book is called Dodger for President. Probably looks backwards. Chapter 1 The Big Surprise. Dude, Dodger shouted as he jumped into my arms. Ow! I yelped as we tumbled together to the floor of my room. This happened pretty often because I was a wimpy 80-pound fifth grader, and Dodger was a really strong 125-pound chimp with blue fur and bright orange and white surfer shorts, plus an eye patch. Oh, and he's invisible to everyone except me and this girl named Lizzie. It's a really long story, but the point is, Dodger knocked me over and landed right on top of me. It's amazing how pointy a chimpanzee's elbows are. So as I was lying there grasping for air, Dodger started talking a mile a minute. The conversation went like this. Dodger, dude, you missed so much while you were in Cleveland with your dad. I gasped. Dodger said, Lizzie took me to school just like we planned, and there was just one problem. I gasped. Dodger said, like there was this science quiz. It was totally hard. There were all these questions and stuff. And you had to fill in these little bubbles with letters next to them, but I really didn't see what the letters had to do with the questions. The questions would be all what type of rock is made when a volcano erupts and then the lava cools. But the answer would be all like A, B, C, or D. Dude, I don't know a whole lot about rocks, but even a chimp knows there's no kind of rock called a rock. 'Cause that would be just completely confusing. Somebody would ask you, what do you call that cool rock you're holding? And you'd go, this? It's called a rock. And they'd go, yeah, I know it's a rock, but what kind of rock is it? Then you'd be all, buddy, the name of this rock is a rock. And they'd be all, why do you have to be such a wise guy? All I did was ask the name of a rock, so you'd go, exactly. And then they'd probably hit you or something. But you know, I did my best for you. I said, what do you mean you did your best for me? Dodger said, well, I didn't want you to get all behind in your work, right? So I just wrote your name on top of the quiz and tried really hard to fill in all the bubbles. I said, okay, so you took a test in my name on a day when I wasn't even in school? I guess that was a problem. Dodger said, no, that wasn't the problem. I mean, I made this really great sentence out of all the letters. Do you want to hear it? Sure. Dodger said, okay, here it is. Cab, dad, a, bad cab. See, it's like this little story about you and your dad, get it? You like, see this taxi cab, right? So you yell to your dad and you try to get the driver to stop, but the cab just keeps going. Genius, huh? Dodger said, I still don't get the part about the rocks, though. Well, maybe we'll get a lot of points for creativity. You couldn't leave this chimp alone for a minute, so apparently a whole weekend plus a day, plus a school day, were completely out of the question. I got up off the floor, checked myself for broken ribs, and dusted off. Meanwhile, Dodger started to tell me about the rest of his day at school. It was hard to believe there was more, but I hadn't even heard about the problem yet. So then in social studies, they're learning about how all these explorer guys discovered North America and discovered South America and like discovered Africa. I totally wanted to set the record straight, but I didn't. Well, that was a relief. Dodger, what did you want to set the record straight about exactly? I wanted to tell them how chimpanzees had already totally conquered all those places, thousands and thousands of years ago. Like before you called it South America, we called it Banana World. And before you had Europe, we had No Monkey's Land. I always get drawn in when he does this. I don't know why, but it happens every stupid time. So I said, what about Asia? He smirked. Chimtopia, of course. Africa. Land o' Mammals. New Jersey. Dodger made a horrified face. Dude, who would want to conquer New Jersey? Anyway, you would have been proud of me, Willie. I didn't say a single word. Well, okay, I kind of laughed when cake fell on James Beeks. Wait a minute, a cake fell on James Beeks? Was that the problem? Problem? It was awesome. I mean, there was this huge brown and orange volcano cake on the ledge over the chalkboard. And you know, Beeks is the coolest kid in school, right? And he always calls you Wimpy and says you're a total dork, right? So I just thought it was funny when he got, "What do you mean a total dork?" I blurted. Dodger looked sheepish for a moment. "Well, you know, not a dork exactly. It's not your fault about your little dressing funny problem since your mom picks out all your clothes, right? Plus, who can blame you for not having any guy friends since Tim moved away? It's hard to hang out with guys if you're not good at, oh, never mind." I was insulted, but I forced myself to take a deep breath. The madder I got, the more off topic Dodger got, and I had a feeling I would really need to know what the mysterious problem was. Whatever, so how did the cake fall on James Beeks anyway? Okay, you know how I was trying not to say anything about the whole social studies thing? That was totally hard for me, right? So I was just kind of hopping up and down in my seat next to Lizzie. I guess that made the ledge over the chalkboard vibrate, and the cake just slid off the ledge. Then Mrs. Starsky tried to make a jumping catch. It was pretty awesome, but she fumbled the cake so it bounced off her hands onto James's head upside down. I could just tell there had to be more to this story, so I waited. Sure enough, Dodger continued. I don't know why he got so mad. I only laughed a little, and it's not like my laugh really sounds like Lizzie's anyway. But he thought Lizzie was laughing at him. I guess he couldn't hear that well through all the cake around his ears, so he got all mad and Miss Starsky yelled at Lizzie. "Oh," I said, "I guess that's the problem, huh?" "No," Dodger replied, "that's not the problem." So then Lizzie started yelling at James, right? And dude, he was getting completely heated. He kept trying to wipe all of this orange icing off his face and yelling back at her. Then Miss Starsky was standing between James and Lizzie, trying to see if James was okay, even though it was only a cake that fell on him in the first place. It was really funny, but I only laughed a little bit more. So the teacher thought it was Craig Flynn, 'cause he usually laughs at everybody, right? This was getting better and better. Nah. I thought I heard our doorbell ringing downstairs, but I wasn't going to go down and miss the end of this story. My mom could get the door. Everybody was going totally bananas. I mean, you know I love bananas, but I mean everybody was going nuts. Well, I like nuts too, but you know what I mean. Lizzie and James were yelling at each other. Miss Starsky was yelling at Craig, and Craig was just standing there totally confused and wondering who he should blame for the whole thing so he could beat them up at lunch recess. Then somehow it wound up that Craig, Mrs. Starsky, and James were all looking right at Lizzie. "Wow, so that was the problem, huh?" "Nope," said Dodger. Just then I heard footsteps charging up the stairs. Dodger looked at my bedroom door and gulped. The problem, and it's really just a teeny little problem. I mean, fifth grade isn't really a very long part of your lifespan when you think about it. Dodger swallowed again and said, "The problem is," Lizzie burst into the room, causing the door to bang off the wall. She was out of breath, but she immediately said, "Dodger, did you tell Willie about the class election?" I looked at Dodger. Lizzie saw my confused face, then glared at Dodger. I said, "Election?" Dodger looked like he was going to throw up. "Dude," he said, "that's the problem."